Hello and welcome to In Novato. I'm your host, Pam Hazley, and we're opening up this edition in the beautiful Pacheco Plaza in Ignacio. And in this episode, we go behind the scenes of an innovative procedure at Marin Eye Care. Seroptimist International interviews Novato Police Department's female officers on their experiences in local law enforcement in this three-part series. And the theme of this year's 4th of July parade was Community Spirit Alive. We'll show you some of the highlights. One of the merchants here in Pacheco Plaza is Marin Eye Care. If you've ever had dry eyes, and I certainly have, then you'll know how uncomfortable it can be. Well, Marin Eye Care may just have a solution for you. I know this simple procedure definitely works for me. Let's take a look.
At Marin Eye Care, we provide this innovative technology called IPL. It's impulsing white light that reduces the dryness, and it helps in the long run for the patients to produce healthy tear film, cuts down on the irritation, the burning sensation, and excessive tearing. So when the patients come in, we greet them and we take them to the exam room. We make sure they're comfortable and relaxed. We cover the eyes with special shields. We expose the lower part of the eyelid and the cheeks from one ear to the other ear. And when we do the procedure, it's impulsing white light, which constricts the blood vessels, and it enhances production of the healthy oily layer of the tear. The shields have a very light adhesive, and so after we're done, we just pull it off gently. And again, it's very gentle, it doesn't hurt, it comes off easy, but it's there to protect the eye so we don't get any gel in the eye, and also to protect the eyes because it's bright. After the procedure, they wait for about 10 minutes, and then we check the eyelids, especially the lower lids. We look for the opening of the tear glands, and we press them so to make sure we get all the old oil. And then we send the patients to the front desk to make the appointment for the next visit, and then they go home and they can go back to normal activity.
We recently had Seroptimist International of Novato in studio to interview 3 women of the Novato Police Department. Let's hear their perspectives as women in police work.
Welcome to Illuminate. This is a community television program produced by club members of Seroptimist International of Novato. My name is Carol Bennett. Today I have 3 professional women from Novato Police Department. So this is going to be a 3-part series. First of all, I have Taylor Mason, who is a police records specialist. So you took an aptitude test or something that enabled you then to come into police work?
Yeah, so when I started working in the field of higher education, I just took an aptitude test to see what types of jobs I'd be interested in, and dispatcher was one of the ones that came up.
Dispatch, interesting. Okay, so I understand the hiring process for any police department is pretty rigorous, but
yes.
Explain the one that you know about at the Novato Police Department.
Sure, so it started with looking at novato.org.
Novato.org, okay.
Yes. And that's where they list all of their job postings, and I saw that they were hiring for a police dispatcher. And the application is done through governmentjobs.com. Governmentjobs.com.
So those are 2 valuable websites to know about.
Definitely.
Right.
And once you apply online, you're invited to come in for an interview with a panel. And once you pass that, You are given a polygraph exam.
Now that's a lie detector test?
Yes,
Whoa.
lie detector test. Once you pass that, you begin the background investigation. You're fingerprinted. They talk to your spouse, your parents, call your previous employers. They come to your home,
Wow.
meet with you there, and they speak with your neighbors.
Your neighbors, they go
Yeah.
out and talk to the neighbors?
Go and knock on
Woo.
their doors and ask them about you and see if you're a good neighbor.
Ah, interesting. I'm talking to Melissa Hinkle, who's corporal with the Novato Police Department. Would you believe she works graveyard shift and she is on patrol on the street? So you've been with the Novato Police Department for 17 years. You don't look that old, I'm sorry, but you don't. But tell us about all the jobs and all your career there so far.
Sure. Well, fortunately, I've had many opportunities at the Novato Police Department. I worked patrol, field training officer, I worked school resource officer, I've had undercover assignments, I worked investigations, sexual and child abuse investigations, and now as a corporal.
How is it different being a woman in police work, do you think, as compared to being a man?
Well, our roles are the same. We do the same functions. Sometimes it works to our benefits. If we have interviews, for example, sometimes people are more prone to answer and open up to us. But for the most part, our roles are the same.
Interesting. Good. Okay. So have you ever encountered any dangerous scenarios or where you were really scared?
Well, the best thing about police work is we never know what we will have for the day. Everything's day to day and it's a surprise. But we are trained properly, and as long as we revert back to our training, we're able to focus and get the job done.
Okay. Well, what advice would you give to women coming into the police force?
The big thing I would have to say is to have just sound judgment and have good ethical decisions.
And today I'm talking to Sasha D'Amico. So tell us about your new position, a relatively new position at the Novato Police Department in administration.
So we did not have a lieutenant in the Administrative Services Division, and it was a need that we had so that we could organize things a little bit easier. So right now I manage our detective unit, and I also manage our training and personnel unit. So in charge of hiring, making sure everyone that we hire is fully trained, and then our detectives follow up on work from our patrol division.
Huh, interesting. So you're in charge of hiring there, huh?
Yes, I am.
Ooh, you're the perfect person for us to have here. So do you have any special thoughts about women working in the police department as compared to men?
Yes, I think we need more women at the police department. We have about 10% of our staffing, which is actually very high for
Really?
a municipal police department of our size. We have 59 sworn. I think it's great for girls to see a woman in uniform, and it's really important for their understanding that it is a job that they can do. It's important that they see us and so they can see themselves in the job.
You're right.
So I encourage our female officers to get out there, get on the street, be involved in community activities, and to have those interactions with the community so that everyone can see that it's also possible for a woman to be a leader and also be strong and be the person who comes and helps and resolves the situation in a time of chaos or where there's concerns about safety.
If you would like to view the full-length interviews, head over to our Facebook page. Another highlight we wanted to share with you is the walking history tour of downtown Novato. You can view the full-length video online. Here's a snapshot of the places you can visit in Novato's history.
Welcome to Sounding Board. This is a community television program produced by club members of Seroptimist International of Novato. I'm one of those club members. My name is Carol Bennett. Today we have a special program for you, and this is going to be a time travel, an actual time travel trip of the streets of Novato. We have a very special guest, a very special docent who works with third graders on taking them on walks around the town because that is part of their curriculum. So it's my pleasure, Lori. Here I am, a time traveler. I've come up from San Francisco to meet you today and to have a tour of the streets of Novato. I am so thrilled. This is Lori O'Mara, who does the third grade tours usually. And here I am. I'm not the third grade, but can you handle it?
I think I can. I'm so happy to meet another time traveler.
So Lori, this building used to be the post office, is that right?
Well, the postmaster's house.
Oh.
He actually lived here, Mr. Henry Jones.
That's how it worked. Okay, well, next door is, I don't think that's where it used to be, but now right next door is what I think you call the Carlisle House.
That is called the Carlisle House. And it's called the Carlisle House because, again, no addresses, no mail delivery, not that many houses in Novato, and all the houses were known by the people who lived there.
Let's go. Let's go.
And I'll introduce you to my best friends,
Okay.
the Carlisles.
Excellent. Let's
Okay.
go. This is the Carlisle House, right?
Yes,
Tell us
it-
some good stories about the Carlisle House.
I certainly will. For one thing, in this year, 2018,
Right.
it is now Novato's Chamber of Commerce and a financial group works here. And it has an address now, like you said, 853.
I'm so anxious. Let's go walk. Let's
Shall
take a
we,
walk
Carol?
and see some of these street names and see some of these wonderful places.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So Lori, you know, right now we're right across the street from what's called the Whole Foods grocery store. And so if people watching are kind of confused where we are, tell us about, it says Novato's first railroad station. Tell us
That's
about it.
right, Carol. Well, as I was saying before, Novato really started to come alive with the convenience of the railroad coming to town.
Now, right down the street here,
Yes.
if we go all on the back lot of the Whole Foods store is what? It's another building, a blue building.
Yes, my friend Mr. Yalmarini's saloon. Oh, Carol, what a story I have to tell about that
Whoa,
place.
let's go.
Let's go.
Here we are, Lori, standing in front of two buildings, and one is a darker blue building and the other is a gray building. So tell us about what goes on, what went on behind the scenes there.
This blue building was built by a friend of mine named Mr. Abraham Yalmarini. He came
Interesting.
here, bought himself a little dairy farm, and did very well. But he had to bring his big tins of milk down to Novato Creek where the schooners could take them for sale. Then years and years went by, and as I said, the creek filled up with silt, and the railroad did come to town. And all these people were coming here, as I said, and not leaving. And the few people who were in Novato and the people who came realized that these people, they were getting off that train and they were hungry and they were thirsty and they needed a place to sleep and shop and live. So all around this area, people were building and building and building, mainly saloons, Carol. That was the most popular building of the day. So Mr. Yalmarini sold his dairy farm and came here to build his saloon.
Well, Lori, I'm a little embarrassed by what the train depot looks like now, but we have great plans for it. But tell us what it was like then.
Oh, my Lord, Carol. It was an exciting place back then. Of course, you know, this is the third train depot that Novato has had. That's where the conductor would sell the tickets.
Okay.
This was the passenger part of the depot. On the other side of this, there used to be a cargo depot, but it burnt down as well.
Oh, I love this building. This has really been cherished. It's now called Nine Corners. It's a very special place.
Oh.
But tell us what it used to be.
Well, for one thing, I only see 4 corners on it, so 9 corners, that's very interesting. It's a different century, though. This used to be Mr. Hamilton's house. Now, back across the street from the bank was Mr. Hamilton's grocery store. And you know how I told you people live close to where they work? Well, Mr. Hamilton's house was right here. As a matter of fact, just on the other side of his store was his garden, his prized vegetable garden. And then in the back of the store was an ice cream truck where he sold ice cream to the children.
So across the street, I'm looking at the church. Everything was so compact.
Well, Carol, there wasn't a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And yes, it was a very small town.
But we're actually standing here on the corner of DeLong and Sherman, and we're almost back where we started, but there's another building there, that gray one.
Yes, there is, Carol. Now, that's a special building, too. That was actually the house where our very first doctor, Dr. Kurzer, came to live.
Well, I don't know if you can see it because you're coming from a different time era, but from my point of view, right behind me is a brand new city hall, and it's been built with a lot of respect to the old, with the colors and everything, and it's just really nice to see the then and the now side by side. And it just sort of was a place for us to wrap everything up. And speaking of that, I have been holding this little book in my hand all this time, and it's called Then and Now Novato, and it's for sale in the Novato museums, and it shows all these beautiful pictures that you've been talking about. And I want to thank you, Lori, so much for being here today, and I want to thank the crew for being here, and I really especially want to thank you, the audience, for being here and following us along in this crazy adventure in time.
The Novato Chamber of Commerce held its annual Festival of Art, Wine, and Music. And if you missed it this year, here's a recap.
The Art and Wine Music Festival is an annual celebration inviting thousands from across Marin. The festival offers live music, great food, and a variety of unique art pieces to view and purchase. Families can enjoy the festivities with a wide selection of fun activities. Don't forget to join us next summer at the Art and Wine Music Festival.
Well, 4th of July is my favorite time of year, and NCTV was present at the Novato 4th of July Parade, capturing highlights of this fun, festive event celebrating Independence Day. Well, in last month's show, we mentioned that my co-host Nick visited the French Riviera. Well, why was he there and not me? Well, videographer staff John Levy interviewed Nick to find out why.
I'm John Levy with Novato Community Television, and I'm sitting today with our very own Nik Oczkus, who is a recent graduate of San Francisco State's cinema program. Thanks for sitting with us today, Nik.
Thank you, John. Pleasure to be here.
Nik, you were recently invited to the 71st Annual Cannes Film Festival.
Yes, I was.
How did you get that invitation?
So there was a contest, a film festival called CMF that circuits schools, and it came to my school, San Francisco State University. And last year, a short film that I worked on went to Cannes, and unfortunately I wasn't able to go with them because they only allowed 2 applicants. But this year, I had a film ready, and my friends came and helped me out, and it won. It got in the top 4, and once you're in the top 4 in the contest, you have the option to go to Cannes.
And how many films get selected? 4?
Top 4 from each school. They have a top 16, which they'll show 16 films the night of, but it's the top 4 that have the option to going to Cannes.
So where did your film screen in the festival?
It screened. It was kind of in random order. But I wasn't seeing it, and I was getting real nervous that maybe we didn't make it, or maybe people didn't like it. And then it did screen, and it was towards the end, and that's kind of how they show the films that make it in the top 4.
Right.
They're kind of in the end.
Okay. But there's different venues at the Cannes Film Festival,
yes.
right?
The short films were on the bottom level called the Marché Film Festival, and they have a bunch of companies like CMF or Creative Minds or American Pavilion that have little booths. For CMF, we did have screenings on, I think, the second Thursday I was there, or the first Thursday I was there, and you get a theater. It's like Palais 1 or something. It's on, like, I think the 3rd level, and you go in there, and very small theater, but they have a projection and a big screen, and you watch your short films, all of them. I think in total there was 45 films from CMF that were at Cannes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you attend the screening for your own short?
I unfortunately missed my screening for my short film, and it's not for lack of trying. I really tried. I gave myself 2 hours in advance, and all that time just flew out the door. But really, the experience was not that my film was there. It was just the festival itself. Yeah.
So tell me more about that. Did you get to network? Did you meet with any other filmmakers? Pitch any work?
Yes, I did all of that and more. It was just, I think the best part about it is just being in an environment with people who are like-minded.
Right. Yeah.
It's really
being
great.
Inspired by other people.
Well, you are, by the end of the trip, you're like, I'm really inspired just to go home and
start
crank
working
out a
on
film. Yeah.
Did you see any films by people you know or other students from your school?
Well, before I went, I started researching the fellow students' films, and then when I got there, I would meet up with the people. And it turned out like the people I'd seen their films, we'd really connected. And
was that a requirement to see their films, or did you choose to do that?
I sought out to see it because, that was kind of like the first way you make a conversation. It's like, oh, I saw your film.
People appreciate it, right?
Yeah. And so that was one way to, break the ice and get more comfortable with people.
Did you make that short in order to get to Cannes?
That was kind of a hope, given what had happened last year, like the opportunity.
Because you came very close last year, right?
I would have gone last year, but they only had 2 applicants. So the film I worked on went, but I stayed. But I thought, I just like people to see my work, and so I worked very hard. It was like a 48-hour film.
Yeah.
And we get it out, and then I was pretty surprised when it made it into the top 4. And again, it's really not about the films per se. It's more just experiencing the most prestigious film festival
Right.
on earth.
Right. Well, it also prepares you for how to present and exhibit work in the future. And
Exactly.
All that goes into that,
Yeah.
which is a lot of tremendous work. So what's your film called?
My film is called To the Writers.
And what's it about?
It's basically, it's a writer who's writing a screenplay, realizes his work is not very good, has a downfall, and then has a resurgence of inspiration.
We all go through that, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm sure this was semi-autobiographical, I'm sure, based on experience.
Yeah, and it was just something, I just wanted to make something inspiring, something
Yeah.
uplifting, something that was relatively simple but hit all the beats.
Right.
And so really it was like 48 hours of just pure filmmaking and like editing and whittling it down. It was down
Yeah.
to the minute.
Also preparing you for future projects.
Yeah. And then I turned it in and I hoped for the best.
So where can people see your film?
They can see it on my YouTube channel, Film 21 Productions. It's also, if you look up Crash Time Warp, you can find it as well. Or if you just type in To the Writers and then Crash Time Warp after, or To the Writers
Nik
CMF.
Oczkus.
Nik Oczkus, exactly. You can also find it on the Nocturnal Hour, which is the late night short films program, which is found on NCTV on channel 26, late night, probably around 10 p.m.
Well, Nik, thanks for sitting
Thank you,
down with us
John.
and talking. Nik Oczkus, To the Writers. You can see it on YouTube or on the Nocturnal Hour at Novato Community Television. I'm John Levy. Thank you very much.
Well, Nik, what's transpired since this exciting opportunity?
Lots happened since I've returned. The Marin IJ wrote an article about me, and that actually led to a job offering, which I ended up accepting. So I'll be working in the city now, and unfortunately, I will be leaving NCTV. But I just want to thank you, Pam, for giving me the opportunity to work here. It was truly a blessing, and it was an amazing time. And I just wish you the best of luck.
Well, likewise, congratulations again on all your accomplishments.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
We're going to miss Nik, but until next time, thank you for watching. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a pug shirt, it's because a lot of you knew my pug, Louie Winston, and he recently passed away. So in his memory, this is a little tribute to him. Thanks again for watching. I'm your host, Pam Hazley, and we'll see you next time right here in Novato. If you have ideas for a show segment or a local event you'd like to feature, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us an email to info@novatotelevision.tv and we'll contact you about possibly airing your show idea or event. Please visit our website to learn more about NCTV and like us on our Facebook page. Be sure to tune in next month to see what your local government, nonprofit businesses, and community volunteers have been working on right here in Novato.